Hello and welcome to Big Speak. I'm your host, Brigadier Rakesh Bhatia. In today's episode, we will talk about a very important neighbor of ours, Bangladesh. Last few months have been very dramatic as far as Bangladesh is concerned. There was a coup, there is an interim government that is taken over, there are anti-India feeling. China as well as Pakistan are trying to assert their influence in Bangladesh. Let's cover all this in this episode. The format I will use is I will give you questions, then the bullet points on the slide, and in my commentary, I will explain how you should go about answering each question. As far as India is concerned, Bangladesh is a strategic pivot in South Asia which gives connectivity to India. Through Bangladesh, we can have land connectivity to the Asian tigers, the Southeast Asian countries, which China considers as its own backyard. Hence, Bangladesh can be called as a strategic pivot in South Asia. Let's begin with why Bangladesh is critical to India's land and maritime security. Bangladesh holds unique strategic importance for India. It shares 4,096 kilometer border with five of our northeastern states, making water management a vital concern. Its proximity to the Siliguri corridor, the narrow strip connecting India's northeast to mainland, adds further urgency. This area is a critical lifeline for India, and any disturbance in Bangladesh could jeopardize it. On the maritime front, Bangladesh borders the Bay of Bengal, which hosts key Indian naval assets. A hostile or uncertain Dhaka complicates India's naval logistics and surveillance in eastern waters. Explain the importance of Siliguri corridor in Indo-Bangladesh geopolitics. The Siliguri corridor, often called the Chicken's Neck, is a narrow 22-kilometer stretch that links mainland India to its northeastern states. Imagine all your railway lines, roads, optical fibers, oil pipelines connecting mainland India with northeast Indian states passes through 22-kilometer narrow stretch. Its vulnerability makes regional stability essential. If unrest in Bangladesh spills across the border, or a foreign power like China gains influence nearby, this corridor could be at risk of strategic encirclement. The fact that China has shown interest in developing the Lal Monerhat airfield, which is just 15 kilometers from this corridor, is a worrying signal for India's territorial integrity and military mobility. On this map, you can see where is Chicken Neck. Exactly on north is the wedge of Chumbi Valley, which is to the north of the Chicken Neck, and towards south is the Titlias Island of Bangladesh. This is how the access to Bay of Bengal, which I spoke about, looks like. Look at the ports and how Bay of Bengal is dominated by the country which establishes bases in the ports offered by Bangladesh. What led to Sheikh Hasina's exit from power in Bangladesh? In 2024, Sheikh Hasina's regime collapsed under the weight of massive public protest. Citizens revolted against alleged corruption and rising economic inequality. Compounding these issues was a perception that her government had grown too close to India, alienating key constituencies. As instability grew and fearing reprisal from opposition forces, she fled to India, marking the end of a 15-year pro India era in Dhaka and setting the stage for significant regional shifts. How has Mohammad Yunus, the interim president's foreign policy posture, impacted India? Mohammad Yunus, though globally respected, signaled a major foreign policy realignment. His first official visit abroad was to Beijing, not Delhi, indicating a pivot away from India. While he promises democratic reforms and economic revival, Yunus has shown less emphasis on India Bangladesh's historical bond. More importantly, he appears to be open to working with both China and Pakistan, especially in digital and economic sectors. This recalibration has diluted India's strategic leverage. Let's now compare India and China's economic engagement with Bangladesh. China has pulled ahead in economic influence by offering 25 billion US dollars in bilateral trade, a 98% tariff waiver for Bangladeshi exports, and rapid infrastructure delivery. It has also embedded itself deeply into Bangladesh digital economy and manufacturing ecosystems. India, by contrast, has extended 7.9 billion US dollar in lines of credit, but delays in implementation have hurt its credibility. China's approach combines speed, integration, and long term economic dependency, making it a stronger player in Dhaka's strategic calculus. China is involving in investments which are of dual use nature. Ports like Mongla and Chattogram have been upgraded by Chinese firms. You can see these ports in this slide, which have been encircled in a yellow circle. Officially, civilian infrastructure, they are fitted with logistic systems that can support naval or military activity during crisis. This dual use model is part of China's global maritime strategy. Given these ports' proximity to Indian shipping lanes and naval facilities, they pose a direct surveillance and military access threat. This deep port capability could allow Chinese vessels to operate closer to India's maritime zones. Explain the emerging China, Pakistan, Bangladesh triangle and its objective. A loose but functional strategic triangle is forming. China provides economic and surveillance infrastructure, Pakistan contributes ideological support and covert networks, and Bangladesh offers strategic geography. While not a formal alliance, this coordination aims to encircle India's northeast, dilute India's influence in the Bay of Bengal, and create internal pressure points. Each actor gains. China expands its Belt and Road footprints, Pakistan revives its influence, and Bangladesh hedges against Indian dominance. Let's talk about how Pakistan is meddling into India's neighborhood in Bangladesh. Pakistan is reviving its historical playbook by engaging with Bangladesh Islamic groups such as Jamaat-e-Islami under the banner of Islamic solidarity. It draws open shared grievances over the 1971 war and current narratives like Kashmir to portray India as a common oppressor. ISI is reportedly rebuilding covert channels in Dhaka, aiming to reinsert itself into the political and religious landscape. The ideological outreach complements China's economic footprints. making India's position more precarious. What are the risks of insurgent groups regaining bases in Bangladesh? The Chittagong Hill Tract or CHT, once a haven for anti-India insurgents, are witnessing the resurgence of groups like the Kuki-Chin National Front. With Hasina's departure, Bangladesh may become more permissive. Groups like United Liberation Front of Assam may reactivate cross-border links. This revival poses a threat not just for militancy but also of foreign backed destabilization, especially from Pakistan and China. A return to 1990s style insurgency logistics would demand massive Indian counterinsurgency resources. Discuss the impact of foreign support to Northeast Indian insurgents via Bangladesh. If Chinese and Pakistani elements coordinate to support insurgents in India's northeast, it creates a twofold threat. First, there is a logistical aid and weapon movement through the porous borders. Second, China's control over digital infrastructure facilitates online radicalization. Together, they amplify India's internal security burden. This weakens India's outward strategic posture and risks turning its eastern frontier into an active internal front once again. You may have a question to list and explain strategic action India should take to counter Chinese influence in Bangladesh. The suggested answer could be India must act on multiple fronts. It must fast track all pending projects in Bangladesh to regain trust. On the security side, it must strengthen border surveillance, especially in the northeast. Diplomatically, India must expose China's dual use strategies at platforms like Quad, BIMSTEC, and IORA. This approach combines speed, clarity, and multilateral pressure. India also needs to re engage politically with Dhaka, irrespective of which government is in power. What opportunities did India have with Bangladesh to solve Northeast connectivity challenges? Under the Hasina regime, India and Bangladesh were building a robust connectivity framework. This included rail links, inland water transport, and cross-border energy grids. These projects were essential to integrate the Northeast with the rest of India and with Southeast Asia. The BBIN motor vehicle agreement and Agartala Akhora rail link, about which I spoke in one of the previous episodes named Connectivity, were critical notes. The loss of political alignment now jeopardizes these gains and risk re-isolating the Northeast. Finally, there may be a question, why is Bangladesh considered a geopolitical pivot in 2025? Bangladesh sits at the intersection of South Asia and Southeast Asia, making it a geographical and strategic pivot. It is central to India's Act East policy and a key maritime player in the Indo-Pacific. Its realignment determines whether India can project power eastward or will be restricted by land and sea. As a frontline state in the emerging power, Bangladesh's role shapes not just regional trade but regional security architecture. Finally, let's summarize the strategic implication of Bangladesh alignment with China and Pakistan. The emerging China-Pakistan-Bangladesh axis could effectively encircle India from the east, limit its influence in the Southeast Asia, and reignite internal insurgencies. It challenges India on three fronts: maritime surveillance, land border insecurity, and ideological warfare. This alignment also marginalizes India's role in forums like BIMSTEC and IORA and questions the efficacy of its look stroke act east strategy. It's a signal that influence lost once is difficult to recover. With this, I come to the end of today's episode. You are requested to please like, share, and comment. We were encouraged to see your response to our previous episode. We will continue to give our best. Keep working hard. All the best. Jai Hind.